Bite-sized and bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks. Inspiration coming at you like a river flowing. Women paving paths, look at them going. Bite-sized and bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks.
Welcome to ByteSized and Bossy. I'm Erin.
I'm Tammy.
I'm Chrissy.
And this is
ByteSized
and Bossy.
Where were
I
you
was
guys?
close. I was
Like, were you
late.
just,
I
like,
was
waiting
late this
3
time.
seconds.
I was slow. I am sorry about that. Well, welcome to ByteSized and Bossy. We're back again after last week where we talked about all the great things that have happened, and we have an amazing guest. Annica Conrad is here with us, and she is a chief brand officer. Also, we're not sure what that means, but we're going to learn, right? Like what she gets to do. And so we're really excited to have you as a guest, Annica, and to talk about who you are, what you do, and really get into the weeds with you. So if you want to introduce yourself to everybody watching.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me. I am, as you said, Annica Conrad. I'm currently the Chief Brand Officer for City Barbeque, which is a barbecue concept headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. I'm actually based in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm kind of a commuter worker, like many people may be. And we can talk about that if we want to and what that experience
You
is
fly to
like.
Ohio a lot?
I
is that what you
do. I fly to Ohio. I'm typically in Ohio. It's going to sound like a lot when I say it at first, but I'm typically there 3 weeks out of the month. But our office is hybrid. So, we're only in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Friday, we're at home. So I typically fly up on a Tuesday, and then Tuesday morning on the first flight, I'm at the office by about 9. And then I fly out Thursday afternoon. So it sounds like a lot. It equates to be like 6 nights a month. So,
Wow.
when you kind of talk about it in that way, it's not so crazy.
That is a lot. So I think Erin opened it up, but what is a chief brand officer? What is that? What does that do?
Yeah, what does that do? Great question. Let's unpack it a little bit, right? I feel like chief brand officer to me is kind of a little bit of the modern evolution of what would be chief marketing officer, right? I think it takes into account in certain scenarios like mine where, maybe you're not just overseeing the marketing vertical, right? And I think now the modern approach to things is that it's not really just marketing, right? It's all about the consumer experience and how they're taking in a brand. And so for me, I oversee the traditional marketing vertical, right? So, all things paid media, social media, PR, all those traditional kind of functions. And then I also oversee our culinary development with our culinary team. So obviously critically important in a restaurant, the food. And then we have a large catering team that has a whole sales force that's out selling B2C. And so catering also rolls up to me as well. And so, really articulating the way the brand comes to life to all of our consumers and guests. Also within, like the four walls, how do we articulate authenticity and those kind of things within, the built environment, also in the digital environment. So
there's no CMO, right? Like you are,
That's
for
right.
all intents and purposes.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Like I said, I feel
it's the new
to me, it's
CMO.
like an evolutionary role from CMO.
That's amazing.
Well, I think
Do we ever-
experience officer was there for a minute, like that was the hot title, but yeah, I'm seeing a lot more brand now, and maybe that's because of menu, and I like the off-prem sort of note on that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, right? Because now the digital experience becomes so important, and this conversation we have a lot is how do you take your experience in the built environment and have that same level of comfort and brand authenticity in a digital piece. So, yeah.
Do we ever see brands today that have a chief brand officer and a chief marketing officer, and those duties would be split? Have we
I
seen
think
that?
if you were at a really large company, you
Okay,
probably might potentially see all those, or
right.
maybe a chief concept officer or a chief revenue
Yeah.
officer, right? A little bit
Sure.
of some of those splits. In our case, we're a smaller company, we're a regional brand, so I don't think that we just wouldn't have that kind of split for us.
Sure.
Well, let me ask you a question. So if I wanted to get a chief brand officer job, their recruiters and whoever, when they're hiring, they're always looking at title. What if I just said, you know what, they're hiring for a chief brand officer, and I was a chief marketing officer, so I'm just going to change this title on my resume.
I've done that.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Any issues with that?
I mean, if
I
I'm
also-
candid about it, I think you see a
Yeah.
lot of people that do that. A lot of people do it on LinkedIn because,
Yeah.
look in
Yeah.
different organizations, people carry different titles, and some organizations are very funny about how they'll title things, right? Like
Mhm.
it's like, well,
Yes.
everybody on the exec team is a VP, and it's like, well, but I've been a CMO, and I am the CMO
Yeah.
here, right? So I think it's okay as long as you're honest about what your role was, right? If you were the director of marketing and you worked under a CMO, you shouldn't call yourself the CMO.
Well, I
If
think
you
it's
were a
okay
director
as-
of marketing and you reported to the CEO and you led marketing,
Then you're a CMO.
then you are, effectively the CMO, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
I have a question unrelated to what we're talking about. Annica,
Shocking.
which makes sense. That's who I am. Annica, you're
no
gorgeous,
attention span.
right? You are absolutely stunning. Have you been stunning
She's
your whole
flirting
life?
with you. This is getting weird.
No, you are. You are absolutely
She
stunning.
is stunning.
Have you ever
But Erin,
dealt
you're
with...
making it about a woman's looks. What are
No,
you
it's not
doing?
about her looks. I'm just saying, like, has she ever struggled with body positivity or anything that like a lot of us women deal with, right?
First of all, well, thank you. I appreciate the compliments always, especially on a Friday, because it tends to be my comfortable home day, as you see. Yeah, I think always, right? I think it's really, really hard as a woman to not struggle with those things, and you want to tell yourself that it's not important, but then you tell yourself it's important, right? And so it's always a struggle, right? I mean, do I look too old? Am I trying to dress too young, right? Like where do I fit in? And am I those things are a struggle, I think, for us, right? To it's like I want to look my age, but I don't want to look old, and I want to I want to look seasoned and professional, but again, I don't, so I think it's just a continual struggle.
I think I've found myself probably more so over the last year, having kind of those same questions that you just said, especially, when I'm at home and I'm on Zoom and it's different. But when I'm preparing to go to a conference or whatnot, like I'm not getting any younger, and I am seeing it when I look in the mirror, and and then you go to these conferences and the next generation is coming up behind us and they look young and fresh, and they have
You look young. You look young.
whatever. No. And they have all this energy, and I'm like, it's 9:00. I gotta go to bed. I can't stay and hang out.
Do you guys know that you can rent clothes now?
Yes.
For
yes.
events?
I know.
Annica,
Well,
do you
I
know
was
this?
talking to someone who rents clothes for every single event she goes to, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not that person. Also, I'm poor, but in case anyone out there wants to hand me free money, but no, I like renting clothes. Do you rent clothes, Tammy?
No, I looked at renting the clothes though. So there's a couple sites, and it's like $100 a month for 6 outfits or 6
No.
pieces, and they're from really reputable businesses. And I have a neighbor that's doing it, and so she gets 6 items sent to her each month, and if she keeps them, she gets to buy them at like 70% off.
Yeah. My
And
daughter.
she can wash them. She can do whatever she wants. She can get them
Do
dirty.
you guys all rent
and
clothes?
sends them back.
Is this a thing
No.
that I just
I
don't
have
do?
rented them.
I'm
My
too
kids
lazy.
are like professional clothing renters.
See?
Yes,
So,
mine too.
I mean, they
Yep.
are in the game. They're always, on me, like, you need to join. I guess I shouldn't name check things, but like,
You
you
can.
need to
you
join
can.
Newly, or
Newly, yeah.
Newly.
you need to
Newly.
join
There's a bunch of
Newly,
them.
and there's a couple. There's one that they got me to do, and then I logged on. I was like, literally everything on here is for a 21-year-old person.
I
Well,
felt
that's
the
what
same
I
way
found.
about Newly.
That's what I found
is for
too.
20-year-olds. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they had like a Ann Taylor loft and like,
Isn't that Julie Zucker
Chico's.
does that? She runs clothes. Like
Yeah, but she
has
does Rent
been
the
very open
Runway.
about it.
Yeah, she's
She
super
does
open about
Newly
it.
too. She does
Yeah.
Does
Newly
she?
too.
I think Newly can be okay. There's a couple others that are, definitely like for a younger person. And,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'm kind of warming to the idea. They love it because obviously they're young. And so once an
Yeah.
outfit is hit
And
the
they're
ground,
broke.
it's gone. It's dead to them. They're never going to wear it again. So it really makes sense for them.
I mean, I don't feel like it plans for the mom pouch. Like, and maybe you guys ladies
It
don't have it,
doesn't.
but like I have a mom pooch of like my lower tummy is like
Is this where
from
we're
having
going with the show
kids.
today? Is this where we're going? I
This is
mean,
no, I'm
we
just saying,
want to
like,
lift
that's where
people
I'm
up, and Erin
at. Like,
starts talking about her fupa. Like, what's going on?
no,
We want to
it's
lift up
it's
more
a
than your
pouch.
fupa.
Like
Let's.
a lot of moms have it, Tammy. I'm
I
not
have
making
it
this
too,
up.
and I didn't even get to be a mom, and I still have a fupa. So what's my
No, it's
excuse?
so annoying, and pants are tight.
Okay.
All right, continue on to like real questions.
Oh my
Fair enough.
That
Chrissy,
is a real question. Do
Yeah.
you rent clothes is a real
Chrissy,
question.
you're up.
So first of all, City Barbecue, location in Greenville on Woodruff Road, Greenville, South Carolina, and we have been, and it is very yummy.
Yes.
And knowing that I've been at that store, plus I've been on your online ordering, branding is incredibly important to City Barbecue. You can see it, it comes through. So kudos to you
Mhm.
guys for doing an amazing job. And I feel like when I'm on your online ordering and I go into the store, it is the same experience. And I think that that is
Great.
a big thing that a lot of brands miss, and they miss the mark on. So kudos to you guys for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would say that that's one of the things that keeps me up at night. Like I said, are we articulating ourselves the same on all our channels, and do we deliver the same experience digitally? You
Mhm.
know, so
Well,
that's it's
You're
you know,
hitting the
it's-
mark. You're hitting the
yeah,
mark.
thank you.
And interesting enough, like even with the with chief brand officer being a newer title, um, I think that a lot of times it's easy for brands to get lost along the way and forget that like branding is incredibly important.
Yes.
I have been working with a brand, and they are just kind of revitalizing. And when you look at their new versus what they've been doing for like the last 50 years, you can tell that they really got lost and had no direction. And now like this new version of them is coming out, and it's really exciting to
Mhm.
see. And I think it's going to take them, it's easier to sell a franchise when you have this big, beautiful brand. And here's your architecture, and here's the layout of your building, and here's where this goes, and here's how the tables are supposed to look. So I think that's super cool. I think it would be a fun. I'm not a marketing person by any stretch, but it looks like it would be a really fun job. Annica, tell us about your family. Do you have kids? Are you married? All that fun stuff.
I do. I am married. I'm on my second marriage.
Yep.
So I've, been there, got the t-shirt on, being divorced and being a single
Yeah.
mother. I have 3 children of my own, but I now have a Brady Bunch family. So my husband has 3 kids. So
Oh,
yeah,
You
so
are the
Hey,
Brady
that's a
Bunch.
I
lot of
love to
kids.
blow
big
people
is your
away and
house?
say I have 6 kids.
Wait
Yeah.
a minute, wait. Are the kids grown or are they little? Like you don't have 6 little brats running around, do you?
there's
No,
no way
no, no.
they're
They're-
grown.
no,
Look how
they're-
young she looks.
They're grown. Well, you're sweet. You're sweet. You're flirting again. You're flirting again.
Just stop flirting with the guests, Erin.
Sorry, I like
Yeah.
her.
But yeah,
Well,
thanks.
So hold on, Annica, like if there was somebody in our group who was like recently divorced, would you have getting divorced? Would you have advice
Yeah, what do you
for them?
do?
I mean, honestly, what do you do? I don't know that I have the right answer there. I have been through that. And candidly, I went through it when my kids were very little, and I was a single mom for a long time.
Mm.
And, I think for me, quite honestly, it was, I'm not saying divorce is good for you, but being in that situation, I think gave me a lot more grace because I never really appreciated
Yeah.
how hard it was to be a single mother
Mm.
until I was one. You think about it and you're like, oh yeah, that's hard, whatever. And I think about it in the sense that I was the vice president of a company, right? And so I was able to hire a nanny and someone to help me. But what about, running restaurants? What about somebody who's an hourly worker at a restaurant and they're a single mom?
Yeah.
What does that life look like and how hard?
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm going through it and my kids are young, and just protecting them and being able to do the right things for them. Plus, and it sounds like you went through the same thing. Plus, thinking I'm very blessed, right, in my
Right.
life. But like you said, that frontline employee, what do they do?
Yeah.
Like when you're going through that, your life basically ends, it feels like, right? Or
Yeah.
it has that feeling.
It
doesn't
does. And,
end because the
it's
kids eventually turn 18.
yeah, exactly. They eventually grow up. I mean, it's interesting because I was listening to, there's a Shonda Rhimes speech, and she talks about
Oh,
if you're winning at, if you're, if you're succeeding at something, you're failing at something else. And
mhm.
that's kind of how I felt during that point in my life, right? Like I'm trying to succeed at work and I'm probably failing as a parent. I don't think I totally did. I have contributing members of society now. So I don't think I did. And we're very
And
close, but
your kids love you. I see all the trips you guys
yeah,
take.
no, they
Your
do.
girls
But
are awesome.
it's funny.
What do you
Like
mean they
I
see the
can
trips? Are we
remember,
Facebook friends?
yeah, we need to be Facebook friends for
Okay,
sure.
all right.
No, I mean, I remember there was a time when, and she probably doesn't remember this, but I remember taking one of my kids to my office and I literally made her lay under my desk on blankets and a pillow because she was sick and she couldn't go to school. And
Yeah.
I had meetings that I had to be in,
Mhm.
I'm air quoting had to be in. That was back when everybody was in the office full time.
Mhm.
And, so I think God, what a failure, I wasn't able or willing to just stand up and say, I have to be with my child today. And so I shoved her under a desk.
Mm.
Um,
Not a failure at all. Think about how resourceful you were and how you made it
Yeah.
work. And
yeah,
so something had to give, but you were able to do both. And maybe you didn't do them at 100%, but nobody died.
Mhm.
No
yeah, no,
company went out of
exactly.
business. Like,
That's what I always say. And
yeah,
yet everyone survived, right?
yes,
So we
Yes.
all
yes.
survived, but but
One of
it's to your point. It just feels like, am I doing okay? Right?
Yeah.
You're just
Well,
constantly
I think
asking.
that's a good thing for Aaron to hear right
Yep.
now that it's not abnormal to feel like you're failing at a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, even like obviously I have also been through a divorce
You
and
have?
yeah.
What?
What? You
Yes.
didn't know
I
that?
thought Paul's like the love of your life,
He
that he's
is the love of my
amazing.
life.
You
Thank
guys have
God.
a great, fun life. You know
We
what I mean?
do. We do. But and we've been married 20 years and I went through a divorce when my daughter, who's now 26, it was, 3 and she was super young and I think while you're raising your children, not only when you are going through a divorce and you're trying to, you're managing your career and now you're a full-time parent and you don't have that support system. I think even, and I felt this today, uh, mom guilt. Mom guilt even when you're
Yeah.
married, but mom guilt all like probably double time when we're trying to navigate our careers and our kids are early on and we have to choose to stick them under a desk because we're trying to go to these meetings and we need to be there. But like today my daughter is getting ready to graduate high school and she had awards day and senior walkout and like all these things and I literally had to leave because I had a call with a client. And I felt like my mom guilt was on
So
100, y'all.
yeah,
Do
it
you
gets
think
off the
that
charts.
do you think
Yeah.
that there's a such thing as dad guilt?
No.
I know that my husband has dad guilt.
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah. When he can't, or, maybe he feels like he's not delivering or, whatever that is. But yeah, I think they do. If they're an
Well,
involved parent, my husband is
Yeah,
very
I
involved.
mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
That's
how
the
do you
difference.
handle, it's one thing when you can bring your kid to work, but let's say, and I want to talk about this with you because we're going to be going to Meg here pretty soon, but
Oh,
what
yes.
happens when you go away on a business trip, right? Like, what do you do with kids when you have to travel for work
Yep.
and you are a single parent?
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, when my kids were little, I mean, now I'm an empty nester, so I'm
Mhm.
like, yay, I get to travel.
Party at Annica's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at that time, I didn't have any family. I had to pay somebody to come spend the night with my kids, and
Mm.
I always joke like my babysitter is the most important person in my life
Mhm.
at that time. And you know what? I mean, talk about failing too. That's another one. Like, we joke about it now. My girls and I, we've had some wonderful babysitters and a couple that were like, I, would she have been able to call 911? I mean, maybe. Like that was her role, just to be there to call 911,
You could probably teach the kids that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, like I've had, I can remember like being somewhere traveling for work and answering the phone and my colleagues laughing because my question was like, well, is she bleeding? I mean,
I mean, that's the story
because
of my
if,
life.
if they're not bleeding, then it's going to be okay.
Are there bones sticking out? If the
it's going to
bones
be
are not
okay.
sticking
Exactly.
out, we're going to be all right.
Is a bone breaking through? No, we'll be okay. And
Can
then,
we,
yeah,
just for a hot second, talk about how white this room is behind you?
You mean
And
because we're all
first
white
of all, that
ladies? What are
tells
you
me
talking about?
right away that your kids are older.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because
I know. Because
my
I have a
rooms
saying
are
like
no longer
white is problematic, and it
Yes.
really is. So that's how you know I have an empty nest, right? Like all the white ones.
Yes.
So,
I
I think that's
literally
amazing.
thought that
There's
when
a
you said
stack
that
of
early.
stuff on this TV behind you. What is that? Tell us
Yeah.
about the
God,
space
Erin.
that you're sitting in.
Well, first of all, I need to move this. This is distracting. Okay, this is
Okay, are you going to ask me about all the booze behind me after I was drinking on this show last week?
Tammy, tell us about what your cocktail of choice is today based on the situation in which you're sitting in.
Coffee and let's talk about Meg, not about what's in
Yeah,
the
tell us about Meg. I've
Yes,
never
let's
been
talk
to
about
Meg.
Meg.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
so first of all, for people who are listening, what is Meg, Annica?
Mhm.
And do you want to do the handshake on the video?
I'm not going to do the handshake on the video. I feel like
Where's
There's a
Clay
secret
Dover?
handshake.
That's
Clay
Clay
Dover
Dover's.
loves a handshake and he's great at it. I would probably totally screw it up.
I think you should give him a guest spot just to come in and do the Aaron.
Just to come in, he's brilliant
like
at the
this.
handshake. It's
Do
like
this?
M-E-G.
Okay.
G. I don't know. He's good at it.
Yeah, I look like a
Yeah,
young
don't say
middle-aged
those
woman
words.
trying to throw gang signals when I do it. So
Word.
not
But
working.
no, tell us. I've never been to Meg.
Yeah,
I've
what is it?
always heard about it. What happens at Meg and who should be going?
Okay, so Meg, first of all, let's back up. Meg stands for Marketing Executives Group, and so
Okay.
it's technically a quote unquote study group of the National Restaurant Association.
Yeah.
They also have groups for like supply chain and other functions within the industry.
There's an
But
IT
this is
one.
specifically for marketers. One thing I like to tell people is sometimes the thought of like Marketing Executives Group might make people think, oh, I'm not at a place in my career where I can participate in that yet, but that's not the case. It's for people, anywhere along the continuum in their career. And so it's held in the days leading up to the NRA show in Chicago. So it's, for marketers, it's put on for marketers by marketers. So we have a steering committee. I'm the co-chairman of the steering committee. And so we plan, all the content, all the speakers, everything that's going to happen at Meg. So it's really intended to help marketers with their job, just to be a great learning experience. Specifically, it's the only conference that I know of that's dedicated exclusively to restaurant marketing, right? There are restaurant conferences, there are marketing conferences, but this is the only one I know of that is restaurant marketing. So it's highly impactful. The other thing I would say, and I would say for me, what has really been so valuable to me over the years is the networking that happens at Meg. Between
It's how we met, I believe.
that's how
It's
I
how
did
me
that.
and Aaron met.
Yes,
Hello.
exactly. I mean, so many people I could name off that I have met by coming to Meg and that have developed into just really rich long-term relationships.
Can I tell a funny story about Meg?
Wait, that's how we met?
Yes, it was in Chicago at either Meg or NRA, but yes, that's how
I
we
feel
met.
like we met when I sang happy birthday to you.
Yeah. Where do you think that was?
That's
in
always at
Chicago?
NRA.
Yeah,
Yes.
because Chrissy
Tammy
and I have like the same birthday. But
Yeah.
so I was going to tell a story. The first time I went to Meg, my boss actually, I was new on the restaurant sort of client side, and my boss said, "You got to go to this event. Marketers have to go." And I went and I saw Stacey Kane up on stage, and Stacey said, "I am Stacey Kane, and I don't have a job, and somebody should hire me."
I love it.
And I was like, who is that woman? I have to be her friend. So I went up to her afterwards and I was like, hi, I just want to be your friend. My name is Tammy. And I think she thought I was like weird and like little fangirl for a while. But I kept showing up, and every year I met more people, and every year I knew more people. And then it becomes like oh, hey, are you going? Because it becomes a bit of a reunion.
It's like a reunion. Yeah.
And the thing I found most so you might feel a little bit like you don't know some people if you first are coming for the first time, but people are super friendly because marketers are usually pretty outgoing. And I find that the best part of Meg for me has been the peer-to-peer sharing,
Yes.
because restaurants are a unique industry, right? Like, it's not like we're
Mhm.
buying a car that you do once every 5 years. You're eating out, which means you do that 3 times a day, and you do that how many days a year? Like, there's a lot
Right.
of opportunities, and you're not going to eat the same place. So you can friendly share different,
Mhm.
tips and tricks. And it is a wonderful place to meet your peers, to ask about those vendors that you're working with. And I am super excited to get to go this year. And so, anyways, that's I
I'm
Yeah,
wanted to
no,
chat
I
about
mean,
that.
it's, I agree. It's amazing. I think the learning opportunity is amazing. And I think the networking, there's been so many people that I have met there that now, if I have to ask a question about something, I have people I can reach out to. Hey, what about this vendor? Have you used this person? Can you make a suggestion, right? Or, I'm in a pinch for something. Who do you know that does this? And it's just been so helpful in my career. And then, funny follow-up story to your Stacey Kane thing. The year that she did that, when she was done with her introduction, she said, "Go Stacey Kane."
Yes.
And now she has that as a tattoo to remind
Yes.
herself, "Go Stacey Kane," which I
That's
love. I'm
so
like,
funny.
I feel like
way
I
to
need a
affirm
tattoo
yourself.
that says "Go Aaron." Weird. I
Yes,
don't
If you
know
want
why.
I
one that
know,
says,
right?
if you want one that says "Go Stacey Kane," I'm sure she'll give you the artwork.
She probably
Maybe she'll
will.
pay for it too.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
But
She'll be like,
I'm
"I
like,
will
that is
tattoo
so
your name
awesome.
on
I
my
love
body."
It's got to be on your butt if you're going to put "Go Stacey Kane" on
that.
you.
I feel like
Annika,
she'd be okay with that.
I wanna ask you a question. You just
Yeah.
said something that is that I actually another a chief marketing officer for another brand posted a big long post, and it was kind of a rant about people in sales and business development that are sending out emails to people like you because we have a thing to sell, right? I
Right.
am a salesperson and I have a thing to sell.
Me
So
too.
I'm not going to ever call you because I do not like cold calls on my phone, but I may email you. And so this person was just going on and on and on about how there's so many vendors and you guys are receiving so many emails, and I'm not going to respond. If I need a service, I am going to my network. I will never answer a blind marketing email or whatnot. And you kind of said, you kind of just said something very similar to that. You said, if I'm looking for something, I lean on my friends from Meg. Is that from everything? Do you ever go out on your own to find a product or a vendor partner? I'm curious.
Yeah, I do. And I would say I don't fully echo that sentiment.
Okay.
To your point, I don't want to be cold called. That
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
that really annoys me.
What about cold email?
A
Cold
cold
email?
email I think is fine. I get a
Okay.
lot of those.
Yep.
A lot of them I click delete,
Yep.
but I do keep a folder in my inbox that I have titled "Interesting Vendors."
Oh,
And some of them I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is kind of cool. I maybe don't need this today,
Yeah.
but I'm going to
yeah.
save this away for if I do, right? Or if I'm thinking about switching this or whatever."
Right.
So some of them, sometimes I am intrigued
Yeah.
by a cold email. What I don't like is a cold email and then following up 10 times in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because
Or
it's like,
the best
Yeah.
is they send you an appointment. Like, they just put an appointment on your calendar.
yes, that was a hot
But I'm
tactic
the one
for a
that falls
while.
for it because I literally look at it and I'm like, did I say I would meet with them?
Yeah,
Did
I know. It's
am I
very
forgetting
confusing.
that
You're
I
like,
said I would meet with
what is
them?
this?
And so it
Yeah.
must have worked.
Yeah, well,
I'm
Chrissy's
sure you get some people and then they join the meeting and they're probably pissed off, right? Like I would be annoyed. So I do keep cold emails. And I would say for me, I more so when I'm going out to my network, I've probably already done some homework and maybe I'm
Yeah.
looking at like 3 or 4 providers
Yeah.
that I like.
Yep.
And then, typically like, hey, have you worked with them? Right. Like now
Yeah.
I like the demo.
Yep.
Let's get down to, the relationship in the back end. Occasionally I will just say, does anyone have someone for this? Right.
Yep.
Sometimes you
Yep.
just, you're in the need for something that's hot, but I would say more so it's, I've done some legwork. I'm narrowing it down, but yeah, I don't hate cold emails. And sometimes I do find things that are of interest to me.
I love that. I think that is an amazing strategy. And as someone who calls on people, emails on people like you, stay away from the calling. I don't I don't like it. I think it's awkward, and yeah, I don't want to interrupt somebody's busy day. I want to be obviously very conscious of their time, and people in your position are obviously very busy, and you got a million things coming to you at one time. But I think what you just said is amazing, and it gives people like me gives us a little hope. So thank you for
Mhm.
that today. Needed it going out on this Friday.
Well, let's see. I've always been a salesperson, and you've always been on the client side since we met, and we have become friends. But yeah, and I
Mhm.
sort of look at it like this. I have a lot of friends on the other side of the aisle, and ideally, they know what I do. And
Yeah.
if I have a solution that fits something they need, they give me a swing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what a friend
Yeah.
does. There's no
Yep.
need to purchase anything. There's no quid pro quo.
Yep.
But that's how I treat it. We went to food on demand. I had a dinner on Tuesday night. I sat next to a prospective client's wife and had a great time. Just some random lady had a great time, and I told her, I said, I met one of my longest industry friends by sitting next to his wife at dinner.
Oh, that's
That's
Now
awesome.
we go to shows together. I've stayed at their house. We've traveled together. Like you don't know who people are going to meet or what the dynamics are. And it shouldn't matter so much that it's vendor client. Just treat people the way you want to be treated.
yeah.
Sounds
I
simple,
totally
right?
agree. And I think too, as look, people switch jobs a lot in this industry, right? And so, today I might not need something, but tomorrow I might, right? And so that's very common. And I do think, those relationships in this industry are a long game, right? They're not about let me sell you something immediately and then just move on, right? It's a long game.
Well, you
Yeah.
want to find someone with any empathy. You find someone who's been out of a job in our industry,
Yeah.
right? So I think what's funny to me is that you have your fan on and I have my heater on. And that's how crazy it is that we can do a podcast like this and be all over the map, right?
I know. I love it.
In very, very different states. But with that said, I think, ladies, it's time for some food for thought.
Oh, I think so. I'll go first. Favorite state that is not your own.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh,
I just came up
boy.
with it.
I like it.
That's a good one. I
I
have
already know
a
mine.
couple for a couple of different reasons.
Okay.
I know you said state singular, but if I'm visiting, like I love going to
She has
Chicago.
50.
I have 50. They're all good. I don't want to annoy the people in South Dakota, right?
There
I
are some
I
good,
love to
there are
visit.
some good to South Dakota.
Yeah, I love to visit Chicago, right? There's great food, great
Mhm.
people. It's Midwestern. Everyone's very kind.
Mm-hmm.
It's a short flight for me. I don't want to go in the winter, but a lot of things there that I love. I love parts of California. Again, to visit, there's just some beautiful areas. So
Which, if
I
you
would
come
say
back and don't call me, I'm going to be mad.
She doesn't like your part of California. She said parts.
She loves my part of
she
California.
doesn't like her part. She gave me a ride to the airport. So yeah, I don't get to your part as much as I used to. I used to be in California all the time.
Yeah.
But now not so much. But there are parts of California that I really love and enjoy visiting. So I have a few.
How do you feel about Wisconsin?
You know what? Actually,
It's
to be
May
honest
and there's
with you,
snow.
I've been to Milwaukee, I think 3 times, and I loved it. I thought it was such a cool town. I only want to come during your 8 weeks of summer. Okay.
Yes, that's
All
why
We're
right,
going to go to
you're
on right now.
Summerfest. Do you want to come with us? We're going to go see some
Yes.
concerts.
Let's go to a summer.
That
Yeah,
sounds
it's gonna be great.
amazing. No, I thought it was such a cool town. I had a great time there.
Awesome.
See,
Mhm.
guys,
Great.
I'm doing okay in this state.
They have
South
cheese
Dakota,
curds
I
in
got to work on.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Cheese curds in Wisconsin.
Cheese
I love
curds.
them. Yes.
Chrissy, you're up.
What is your favorite cocktail?
I'm pretty basic. So typically it's going to be a vodka soda with a lime. If I'm in
I
a
call that the
steakhouse,
skinny bitch.
yeah, it's not working, but we can try. I also, if I'm in a steakhouse, I love like a very dirty martini with a blue cheese
Ugh,
olive.
me
Oh,
too.
nice.
And if
Yes.
they don't actually have blue cheese olives, that's when I'm like, well, do you have olives? Yeah. And they're like, do you have blue cheese? And I say,
Just stuff them.
Make
Right?
them
Why
for
do you
me.
not have a blue cheese olive? Come on.
It's crazy to me. And I think that is actually what makes that drink. And like, that's a qualifier. If you don't do that,
100%.
then I
Yeah.
won't order it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
"Okay."
agree.
How about I've
Favorite
never
restaurant
had-
that is not one that you have worked at?
Wait, say it again.
Favorite restaurant that is not one that you have worked at?
I mean, my favorite restaurant that I've ever visited in all time, and not to sound like that kind of person, but is the French Laundry, right?
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah. Hard to beat that.
hard to top that, right?
Yes.
Amazing.
Hard to beat that. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I can't afford to eat there.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Truly, truly unbelievable.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. I think I have another. What do you, okay. Food for thought. It's Friday. What will you do when you clock out today?
Today, so I've been traveling pretty extensively. So I am going to cook dinner for my husband, Rob, and I tonight.
Yes.
And all of our kids are gone right now. So we're empty nesters, but typically somebody's always around.
Yep.
So it's just he and I tonight. So I'm going to cook dinner for us. And then actually, we like to play tennis. And so the club where we play tennis is having a pro-am tonight. We're not participating. We're just going to go up and drink and watch.
Fun.
That sounds like my kind of tennis.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it'll be a really fun, relaxing night. So I'm looking forward to kind of chill. Yeah.
That is
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Well,
it's tennis
I mean,
and chill.
We are
Exactly.
super excited that you joined us. You are absolutely unbelievable. I look forward to connecting with you more after this, as I'm
Yes.
sure it sounds like you and Tammy already know each other pretty well, but I'm sure Chrissy and I both want to connect with you because like I said, girl crush on you. And with that said, anyone who's watching, like, share, subscribe, rate us, Bite Size and Bossy. But our last and final question for you is, if you could listen to one person on this podcast, one woman that you would want to listen to, or women, who would that be?
I would love for you to talk to Tammy Lusich with Taco Max.
Yes.
Okay.
She's had a great run in the industry and, had ups and downs, and, she's really got a great job now. And I think she's a ton of
She
fun.
is killing it over there. She's killing it for them.
I don't know
Yes.
her. I'm
Yeah.
going to need an intro.
You
'cause,
do
like, I
know
don't-
her. You met her at QSR, FSR.
I do know her, apparently.
She was the one that killed it at karaoke, and I have a great Tammy Lusich story, but I'll save it.
Yes, she is awesome at karaoke, and she has a really big personality, and she's a ton of fun. And
Wait,
she's really
Oh,
Yes, you know who she
yes.
is.
I think I actually have a video of her singing.
she has grown so much professionally. When I met her, she didn't know how to do ROI on anything, and I don't mean this meanly. She just would like, I'm not good with numbers, and I said, well, you just haven't been taught how to do numbers, and now she's a CMO, right? So
That's amazing.
She's a great example of somebody who is like, if you're willing to learn,
Let's get her on the podcast.
We've been trying to have her on for a while, but beyond Tammy, who else would you potentially think might be
definitely
good?
Erin Walter with Freddy's.
She's coming
she's on our
We're
list
getting her
Oh,
scheduled.
good.
Yep.
She's my
Mhm.
girl. Love her. So
Fellow
I
Georgia
think-
Peach.
Yeah, those are two great choices. Would love to hear from both of them.
That's
Awesome.
amazing. Well, we're excited. Chrissy, Tammy, and I would love to have any of these amazing women on. And thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. We know everybody's time is valuable, so this means a lot. We want everybody who's listening that Bite Size and Bossy, follow, like, share, record, whatever you need to do. Send it to all of your friends. We want to continue to uplift women. So with that said, thank you, everyone. This is Bite Size and Bossy.
ByteSized and Bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks.